Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is the Talking Rubbish Transfer Show. We don't usually do this on a Wednesday, but as you know we spoke about the Merseyside derby on Monday, so we're sitting down and we're doing the Talking Rubbish Transfer Show today. We're going to talk about Napoli midfielder Allan. We've got a little bit of an update on him. As you know, we've been linked with a move for Allan for a number of weeks now, a number of months. Ever since Carlo Ancelotti come in, really, there's been those links there with the player due to the relationship that Ancelotti has with the player and the fact that it's quite evident that we need a central midfielder, certainly now that Jean-Philippe Gbamin has obviously picked up another injury. We're also going to talk about Napoli winger Jose Callejon as well, because there's been a rumour linking him with a move to Everton Football Club over the last 48 hours or so. And then we've got an update on Juventus midfielder Adrien Rabiot as well. But before we go into talking about any of the transfer rumours, a little bit of breaking news coming straight out of Everton. Everton Football Club have offered Leighton Baines a new one-year extension on his current contract. As I'm sure you know, Leighton Baines' contract runs out at the end of this season. It's actually due to have run out, I think, now, but will be at the end of this month. But because obviously of what's going on, there's been a little bit of an extension anyway. But Everton have formally offered Leighton Baines a one-year extension to his current contract, which obviously would mean he will be an Everton player through to next season. And I think this news is absolutely fantastic. Listen, there's other players on that list whose contract runs out who I think, you know, are probably going to be let go and should be let go. The likes of Umar Niasse, the likes of Martin Stecklenburg, but Leighton Baines is a real quality talent, and we only have to look back to less than 6 months ago in December 2019, the FA Cup. Sorry, not the FA Cup, the Capital One Cup it was, wasn't it, against Leicester City, quarter-final at Goodison Park, and Leighton Baines produces an absolute rocket to ensure that we, complete the comeback and take the game into extra time. About 30 yards out, and he smacks it with his left foot, and it rifles right inside, the top left-hand corner, and that just proves how good Leighton Baines still is, and that he still is technically one of the best footballers at the club. Certainly, he mightn't have as much pace as he once had, he mightn't have as much stamina as he once had, he might, be a little bit more injury prone than he once was, but he's definitely still got the quality with the ball at his feet, and Leighton Baines can definitely still produce a rocket when you need him to. So for me, I think it's a fantastic, obviously we don't know that, whether Leighton Baines will or won't sign the contract yet. We're assuming that he will sign it, but the good positive news is that Everton have offered him the one-year extension. And obviously we're hoping, and Everton are hopeful, that Leighton Baines will sign that contract, and obviously we'll have him then for another year. I think he's more than good enough to be a backup left-back to Luca Dean. I think at times he's more than good enough to be a starting left-back as well, certainly when Luca Dean isn't in very good form or if he picks up an injury, etc. And it definitely, like I said, you only have to look back to less than 6 months ago, and Leighton Baines is producing technical ability that you don't see out of any other player at the football club, certainly not out of any other player that is out of contract or coming out of contract within the next couple of weeks or so. So for me, absolutely made up. Hopefully Leighton does sign the contract. As you know, we'll keep you up to date with all of that on the channel. So if you haven't subscribed, please do so. As soon as Leighton signs that contract and it's announced by the club, we'll be doing an announcement video on the channel as well. Absolute Everton legend, love him to bits, and I'm made up that he's been offered that contract, and hopefully he signs it. Now, another little bit of information coming yesterday out of the football club. Mina has picked up a knock and is due to miss the restart of the Premier League season. He's due to be out for several weeks after picking up a muscle injury, I believe it was, in training. So it's unclear whether Mina will be back this season. Obviously, it depends how the Premier League are looking to set out the games. If the Premier League are playing the games 3 games a week, so for example Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, for example, and there's only 3 weeks or so that the Premier League will go on for, because there's only 9 games left, and if Mina's picked up and knocked that season out for 4 weeks, then he won't return at all this season. However, if they spread it out a little bit more, then he might return. What we know is that he'll be out for at least a couple of weeks because he's picked up another injury, which surely means that the defensive partnership, now the centre-back partnership, will be Mason Holgate and Michael Keane. And I put out a little bit of a tweet earlier on as to ask, whether fans are happy with Mason Holgate and Michael Keane being the centre-back partnership. I think certainly at times over the last couple of months or so, prior to obviously the suspension of the Premier League, there were games that Mason Holgate and Michael Keane played in together that I actually thought they'd done really, really well in. There was also games that they played in together that they were quite poor in, the Chelsea game being one of them. But there was some games that, they played in and Michael Keane looked good, he got into his own, he seemed confident, he seemed, like he had that ability on the ball, and Mason Holgate's looked, very, very, very good and very, very consistent ever since Carlo Ancelotti's come in. So, I wonder what you're thinking about that. Obviously, Mina set to be out for at least a couple of weeks, which means he is going to miss the restart of the Premier League season and the Merseyside derby as well. Again, listen, football's only been back, a week, 2 weeks in regards to players being back at training, and Everton have already had 2 key injuries to 2 players that would definitely be starting in this team if they were fit. Again, what can you say? It is just Everton, isn't it? It's Everton all over. Anyway, let's get into the Talking Rubbish transfer show today. We're here to talk about transfers. We're here to mark the rumours that we have been reading. And firstly, we're going to talk about Napoli midfielder Allan. This is coming from TheMightyBlues, who I believe are an Italian publication. And I've actually rumoured Everton, linking Everton with various players over the last sort of couple of weeks and months or so. Allan being one of them that they've rumoured before. They stated a few days ago that Everton is the most likely destination for Napoli star Allan this summer. And then to add on to that, further to that, Nico Scherer, who we mentioned pretty much every week, every single time we do one of these Talking Rubbish transfer shows. You think he's an independent journalist, you'll see him all over Twitter. A lot of people don't think he's reliable at all. He has got some things right in the past, not necessarily to do with Everton Football Club, but he has got some transfers right previously over the last couple of transfer windows. He has said that Everton are preparing the first bid for Allan. The Toffees could offer €30 million for the Brazilian midfielder and ready a €6 million euro a year wage plus bonuses. So 2 transfer rumours there. We'll mark them both as a whole. One of them from TheMightyBlues stating that Everton is the likely destination for Allan, and one of them coming from Nico Scherer is to state that Everton are preparing the first bid for Allan, which could be around €30 million, and he will be on around £6 million a year plus bonuses. Now, it's really, really interesting this, because as soon as I read the rumour about us readying a bid for £30 million, the first thing that come into my mind was, hang on, a week or so ago, we were told by The Independent that Everton aren't in a financial situation to spend £30 million on Gabriel of Lille, and that may be why we miss out on him, and he ends up going to Napoli consequently, because, we aren't in that financial situation because of what's going on in the world. And it got me thinking when I read the Allan rumour. I thought, there's no way that Everton... Well, there's little chance that Everton haven't got £30 million to spend, because why would journalists make rumours up linking Everton with players that are going to cost more than £30 million if Everton have already come out and said we ain't got £30 million to spend, because it just means they're not believable whatsoever from the off. It made me think of Everton maybe prioritised certain positions and said, well, okay, we've got £40 million to spend on a central midfielder, but we've only got £25 million to spend on a centre-back. So when the rumour linking Everton with Gabriel for £30 million has come out, we're saying, right, we're not in a financial situation to do that deal because we've had to put a certain amount away for other positions. And I think it's quite clear that central midfield is a position that we really, really need to focus on now. Obviously... Even before losing Jean-Philippe Gbamin, we needed to focus on central midfield. We've got no creative midfielder whatsoever. We've still got no player that does that Idrissa Gana Gueye-esque role where they run around and, they get themselves in the mix and they're not afraid to throw in the tackles. They're not afraid to put their bodies on the line, and they've got that energy to carry on for 90 plus minutes. We needed that type of midfielder anyway. We also needed a creative midfielder, an attacking midfielder, a midfielder, again, I'll say it, and I say it all the time, Mikel Arteta-esque, who can pick the ball up, can run with the ball, very, very good passing range, very creative, can cross the ball, has got a good eye for players' movements, a fantastic footballing brain, and ultimately can hit a ball from 30 odd yards and get it in the top bin, and got a little bit of pace about them as well. We know that we need those 2 positions filling sort of ASAP, and obviously now with the added injury to Jean-Philippe Gbamin, we need 2 midfielders really this summer. Previously we probably could have got away with 1 midfielder, an attacking creative style of midfielder, and had Jean-Philippe Gbamin fit in next to Andre Gomez to be that Idrissa Gana-esque player, but now that Jean-Philippe Gbamin's going to be out for another 6 months, potentially for the rest of the year, we definitely need 2 centre midfielders. And Allan has been a name that's been constantly linked with Everton throughout, the last sort of 12 weeks or so, ever since the league was suspended and we went into lockdown. Even prior to that, ever since Carlo Ancelotti's took the job at Everton Football Club, we've been linked with Napoli midfielder Allan, and I think it's, again, I think some of the times that we've been linked with them have been lazy journalism. Basically journalists stating, right, okay, Allan could potentially look to move away from Napoli this summer. He's got a good relationship with Carlo Ancelotti. They work well together at Napoli. Let's just link Allan with a move to Everton because it works and it'll get people to click on articles. I think a lot of it could have been to do with that. But the more I read the Allan rumours and the more journalists I see come out with it and the different papers that I see linking Allan with the move to Everton, you almost have to think, is there something to this? Is there a little bit of meat to this rumour? Because there's a lot of different journalists reporting the same sort of story. I believe that Carlo Ancelotti is a big fan of Allan and probably would really want to bring him in at Everton Football Club. And that's why I'm going to put this one as possibly, because there was a rumour, like I said, a couple of weeks back that stated that Napoli are wanting €60 million plus for Allan. And as soon as I read that rumour, I thought, right, that's dead in the water, because there's no chance we're going to spend 60 million plus on a 29-year-old midfielder who isn't guaranteed to be able to improve this team. Yes, he probably will improve the team because he's a very good player, but he's not played in this league. It would be a risk. And for £60 million for a 29-year-old midfielder, how many years would we get out of them at that high level? So as soon as I read that rumour, I sort of turned myself down to the Allan rumours, because I thought there's no way. And then obviously, the more rumours come out. You've got Tuto Makata Web saying that Everton are the most likely destination for Allan, which says to me that Napoli are probably willing to drop the price a little bit if it means that, selling him to Everton for some form of deal. And then obviously Nico Shearer coming out and saying that, we'll ready a first bid for 30 million. Again, it makes me think two things. Napoli are looking to negotiate the deal and will be happy to drop the price from what they originally wanted, and that Everton have sort of prioritised different transfer budgets for different positions on the field, rather than saying, right, we can't spend 30 million on Gabriel of Lille because we haven't got 30 million to spend. Rather than that, we're saying, well, we can't spend 30 million on Gabriel from Lille because we're only allocating 20 million for the centre-back position because it's not as necessary as centre midfield or right-back or right-wing, etc. So, again, that's just me sort of, that's just me wondering, that's just me putting something out there that may be the case, mightn't be the case. Everton simply mightn't have the financial capability to spend £30 million on one player at all. So if that was the case, then this rumour's in complete rubbish straight away, because it states that we're going to bid £30 million for him, which, on the basis of other rumours, we're not in a financial situation to do that, which again is why it's really, really interesting. But Allan, obviously 29-year-old midfielder, I think he's a player that would definitely improve Everton. Again, he's got a good relationship with Carlo Ancelotti, he's got experience, he's played in the Italian league for quite some time, he's playing for the team that are playing at a competitive level, playing in Europe, he's got leadership qualities, he's a very good technical midfielder, probably better than any midfielder we've currently got, and he would without a doubt improve our team. And for £25 million, I'll probably be happy to sign Allan. Don't get me wrong, the 60 million, 50 million pound or euro, should I say, rumours were absolutely, they were beyond the joke, and I wouldn't sign him for that amount of money. I wouldn't be spending 60 million pounds on a 29-year-old, because usually when you're linking players of that age with fees of that, that higher fees, they're usually world-class strikers who are going to win you the league, or world-class centre-backs who are going to, shore up your defence and make sure that you don't leak any goals at all, whereas Allan's probably not going to do either of those, but he just will be an improvement to the squad. So for 25-30 million euro, would I go for Allan? Yeah, I probably would. I'm putting it in possibly because I'm just unsure as to whether there's, that much realism within the transfer rumours. I think it's no secret that Carlo Ancelotti is a big fan of Allan, and it's no secret that Allan would probably want to work under Carlo Ancelotti again. But it's about whether there's the financial capability is there, and whether Everton ultimately want to spend £30 million on a 29-year-old midfielder. It does go against Marcel Brands' typical sort of way of making transfers and stuff. He tends to go for the younger players and spends a little bit more money on the younger players with the potential. But maybe Carlo Ancelotti's come in and said, listen, just allow me to spend what I want on who I want to bring in, and I will vastly improve this squad. And I'm assuming that Allan is one of those players that he trusts to be able to do that. So we'll have to see where the Allan rumours go in the near future. But one thing is for sure is they keep cropping up, and I dare say we'll be talking about Allan being linked with a move to Everton Football Club multiple times over the next coming weeks and months, certainly as the Premier League season returns and as Everton look to bolster their midfield, because ultimately I think it's quite clear that we need at least one midfielder. I'd say two midfielders as a necessity this summer, and Allan is a midfielder that's been linked an awful lot in the past. So again, there's that connection there, and ultimately it's quite easy to link Allan with a move to Everton Football Club because of the fact that he has a good relationship with Carlo Ancelotti. So let me know your thoughts on the Allan rumours in the live comments. I'll be getting into the live comments shortly. If you're watching, by the way, and you're enjoying, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second. Don't forget to subscribe as well. We're only a couple of subscribers away from 1,760. We're aiming towards that 1,800 mark, so if you could subscribe, please do so. It only takes a second. If you're new to the live stream as well, please do share it. Let's get as many people in here as possible. On to the next transfer rumour then. This is coming from Arena Napoli, and it was actually last night that this one was leaked or rumoured, whatever you want to say. And this is coming from Arena Napoli, and they have stated that Everton contact has been registered with Serie A side Napoli over winger or attacker Jose Callejon. Now, Jose Callejon is 33 years old. He's a winger / forward. Don't get me wrong, he's a good player. He is a good player. He's got half decent stats this season for Napoli. 3 goals and 10 assists so far. The goals aren't great, but the assists are definitely improvement on any of our other wingers. However, at 33 years old, a player that will have very little sell-on value, a player that will probably have to spend a considerable amount of money on and will want a considerable amount of money in wages per week. I'm just going to put this one in complete rubbish. I don't think it makes financial sense. I think it reminds me of the Theo Walcott situation a little bit, where we're bringing in a winger for a short-term fix. We're bringing in an attacker for a short-term fix, but ultimately they don't have any real sell-on value. And Everton can't afford financially at the moment, and no club can afford financially at the moment to be bringing in players that aren't guaranteed to hit the ground running straight away and have a massive impact, and on top of that, haven't got any sell-on value. Because if we bring in Jose Callejon, 33 years of age, and he ends up, scoring 2 goals next season and getting 3 assists, and then we look to try and shift him, and we've spent £20 million on him the summer before, we ain't going to shift him for anywhere near that much. He's at an age where he's naturally declining. He's coming towards the end of his career at the top level, and he's a player that's not going to come to Everton for £10 million and want, 20 grand a week. He's going to want to come to Everton, and Napoli are probably going to want a decent price for him, and he's going to want a decent wage as well. And I just think for 33 years old, there's got to be younger attacking players out there that we can bring in for around about the same prices we would have to pay for Jose Callejon, if not even less, and that would have not only much more of an impact, but also the longevity there and the future of the football club. And if no future of the football club, they've at least got some form of sell-on value, because bringing Jose Callejon in at 33 years old, very little sell-on value. His stats on absolutely blown me out the water. Listen, if Everton were linked with Jose Callejon and he was going to cost us £30 million and he was 33 years old, but he'd had 17 goals this season and 15 assists, I'd look at it and I'd go, you know what, he's probably going to massively improve our team. But he's not. 3 goals, same as Bernard this season, 10 assists, a few more than Bernard. It's not that different, and for the price that he cost and for his age, I just don't think that the rumour works whatsoever, and that's why I'm putting it in complete rubbish straight away, because, again, I just don't think Everton should. I think this would be another transfer that if we made, would ultimately look back on in 2 or 3 years and go, that was a bad financial decision. And it would be added to the list of the likes of Yannick Bolasie, Davy Klaassen, Gylfi Sigurdsson perhaps, various other players that were brought in and gone, that was a bad financial decision. Theo Walcott maybe, although, again, I'm not too big of a hater on Theo Walcott, if you like, because I think on his day he can provide and he can have a decent game every now and then. Cenk Tosun, again, another player that you probably look at and go, that's a bad financial decision, and I fear that if we brought Jose Callejon in, it will probably be another one of those situations. Don't get me wrong, if Napoli say, listen, you can have him for £5 million, or even, I'm not too sure where his contract ends. If his contract's coming to an end, you can have him you get him for free. I maybe consider it, but again, it all depends on how much money you would want weekly per wage. And if Everton bringing in Jose Callejon and paying him £150,000 a week means that Everton can't bring in a very, very good young winger who could potentially have the same, if not a better impact than Callejon, because we can't pay the wages, then I'd rather go for the younger winger. So I'm putting that one in complete rubbish, not only because I don't really think there's an awful lot in the rumour, but I just don't think we'll make that signing. I really, really can't. Again, it's another Napoli player that's being linked with Everton because he's an experienced player playing for Napoli, who's played in the top divisions, played at the highest level, and he's got that connection with Carlo Ancelotti. That's simply all that is in this transfer rumour. Everton may have made contact with Napoli, but again, financially, does this make sense? I'm not too sure it does. He's a good player, don't get me wrong, he is a good player, but 3 goals and 10 assists, I'm just not too sure for a 33-year-old that will be financially a good move for the football club, certainly not in this day and age anyway. Anyway, let's get into the live comments then before we go on to talking about the final transfer rumour of the day. If you're enjoying the stream, by the way, please do hit the like button. It only does take a second. If you can share the stream, it'll be a massive, massive amount to me. Eugene says Rabiot deal could cost Everton 60 million. Yeah, we're going to talk about Rabiot next. He also says Everton stand to lose another £15 million, and they may have to offer almost double for the target. Which target? And obviously he said about Leighton Baines being offered a new contract. Ollie says Mina, yeah, we spoke about Yerry Mina just before. Very unfortunate, of course. And again, just to touch on the injury situation at the moment, I want to touch on Jean-Philippe Gbamin a bit, because we done a live stream last Friday, I think it was, on Jean-Philippe Gbamin. We spoke obviously about his injury and the fact that, he spent very little time injured before he joined Everton, and he spent over double the amount of days that he'd spent injured in the last 6 years since he's joined Everton Football Club. And I want to talk about it because it is unfortunate, and it's unfortunate with Yerry Mina that these players are picking up injuries, certainly at a time that we need as big of a squad as possible. If the Premier League are going to set out a schedule, which means that teams are going to be playing 3 times a week, we need as big a squad as possible, because I'm telling you now, if Yerry Mina's out for 4 or 5 weeks from now, which means he misses 2 weeks of the season, that means that potentially Mason Holgate and Michael Keane are going to have to play 6 games consistently, with only a day's rest between them. If we're playing Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, there's a couple of days rest between each game there, and those 2 players are going to have to play every single game. We need as big of a squad as possible, and it just is badly unlucky that we're getting injuries at this time. Nobody else seems to be getting injuries, just Everton. So you'd have to think, is this a big opportunity now for some of the youngsters to come in? Maybe a Lewis Gibson to be brought back from loan. I don't know if he returns from loan anyway because of the current situation with obviously contracts and stuff. But I can really, really see this being a big opportunity when the Premier League returns for the younger players. Your likes of your Anthony Gordons, your likes of your Benny Beningame if he's fit. Like I said, potentially Lewis Gibson to come in and make an impact on the first team, because they're going to be given an opportunity, because it's impossible that our ideal starting 11, that starting 11 that you'd probably want to see against Liverpool on the 20th of June, it's unrealistic that that'll be the same starting 11 that plays every single game for the remainder of the Premier League, because the players won't be up for it fitness-wise, and it's just, that won't happen, because players will need to be changed and squads will need to be rotated, and this is a big opportunity for the younger players to not only get an opportunity in the squad, but take that opportunity and really, really say to Carlo Ancelotti, I should be a member of this squad fully fledged going forward into next season. I should be in this starting 11, certainly the likes of Anthony Gordon, like we said. Wimmy says, hey home, just in time. How's you, Cam? I hope everyone's doing well. I'm not too bad, mate. Hope you're doing well. James says, hi Cam, you good lad. Cheers for the update, mate. Baines, legend, he deserves that. He is. He's an absolute Everton icon, mate. An Everton legend, and I love Leighton Baines, I absolutely love Leighton Baines. For me, Leighton Baines and Seamus Coleman are the latest Everton legends, probably the only Everton legends since the likes of Tim Cahill and past. They are absolute Everton through and through. They turned down some of the biggest clubs in the world to carry on playing for Everton when they were at their peak. Leighton Baines and Seamus Coleman were the 2 best fullbacks in the world in 2013-14. Do not get it twisted. They were the 2 best fullbacks in the world, and they turned down Seamus Coleman, turned down Bayern Munich, Leighton Baines turned down Man United, all because they wanted to play for Everton Football Club. And for me, they're absolute legends, and I'm made up that Leighton Baines has been offered that new contract extension, and I just hope he takes it, because I do think he's got more to give to the football club. Keller says, hi Cam, hope you're well. Any news on when the session will start again, or season will start again? I assume you mean the season's due to start again on the 17th of June. With Everton's first game looking to be the Merseyside derby on the 20th of June, which is the Saturday. The 2 games on the 17th, I believe, a game in hands. So there you go. Wimby says, well done, Mo Bessage's agent. Right, yeah, Mo Bessage's agent's been talking a little bit, Annie. I haven't really looked into what he's been saying. But again, Bessage is another player that will probably look to ship out this season in order to make a little bit of money on. Probably won't make much, but there you go. Ollie says, I was at the Leicester game. What an atmosphere when he scored that. I actually missed it, I missed it. I was out. I booked a pantomime and I missed it, but I come out the pantomime, went on my phone, and I literally went onto Twitter at the moment that he rifled that into the top corner, and I seen the goal, and I was like, oh my god, that's one of the best goals that has been scored at Goodison Park in recent times. And you know, Leighton Baines was doing that in December, so he's definitely still got a lot to offer this football club. Eugene says, who's your favourite Everton number 9? Big Duncan Ferguson or Dominic Calvert-Lewin? It's a tough one, that, isn't it? It'd be hard to not say Duncan Ferguson because of, again, Everton legend, but Dominic Calvert-Lewin can definitely get up to those heights if he carries on working hard. James says he's like ice on pens too. Love Bainesy. He is fantastic penalty taker. Wayne says restart's going well for us so far. For fuck's sake, exactly. God says Baines and Coleman are still class as backup fullbacks. Agreed. James says, need Mina and his character on the pitch. He has improved for us. Be big loss. Need Keane to come good with Holgate till we can get players in. Yeah, and listen, Michael Keane, like I said, okay, he had some poor games before the suspension of the league, but he also had some pretty decent games as well, if we're being honest with ourselves. Michael Keane, towards the back of, towards the start of the year, before the suspension, he played well, you know, in a few games, and if he can get that confidence, and he can get that confidence in himself back, I think he can be a good asset for the football club. I really, really do. Wayne says, we are signing Neymar because him and Richie are best mates. Imagine. James says, Allan will be okay, just need someone in there with quality. Miss Garner too much, we do, spot on. Doran Tor says, up the Forest. Fair enough. And James says, wrong stream. Wayne says, nah, he is okay with the Forest. Ollie says, oh no. Evertonian TV, alright mate, okay. He says, Leighton Baines has offered a 1-year contract extension he has. Wayne says, is it Sunderland? And then we will get back into the comments in a sec. Let's just read this one. James says 25 million would be good for Allan. I think they can get him for that. We'll get a good 3 years with our backroom staff out of him. Yeah, and I'd take 25 million for Allan. I would. I would take £25 million. Like I said, the 50, 60 million pound rumours are absolute bonkers. I wouldn't be spending 50 to 60 million pound on a player at 29 years old. But for, 15, 20, 25 million pound, yeah, why not? He's a player with very, very good quality, and a player that I think would improve Everton. I really, really do. If you're enjoying the stream so far, by the way, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second. If you're new to the channel as well, don't forget to subscribe. We're aiming towards that 1,800 subscriber mark now, so any support that you can give will be absolutely massively appreciated. If you subscribe, massive thank you. If you can share the live stream, if you can get as many people in here as possible, if you're watching as a YouTube video, big thanks for watching as well. Anyway, moving on, the next transfer rumour isn't really a rumour as such, but it's a bit of information that I think has a direct link to Everton Football Club, and certainly some of the rumours that we've been seeing over the last couple of weeks or so, and that is regarding Juventus midfielder Adrien Rabiot. The latest bit of information in that saga is that Everton may have to pay €60 million for the Juventus midfielder, and that works out at around £54 million, I believe. And I suppose the big question is, will we sign Adrien Rabiot for £60 million? Will we even be interested in Adrien Rabiot for £60 million? I don't think we will. Now, again, it's a tough one, this, because it's not a rumour saying Everton are going to sign Rabiot for £60 million. It's just saying that Juventus are expecting at least €60 million, €60 million for Adrien Rabiot, and if Everton are interested in him, we may have to pay, €60 million for the player. So it's hard to sort of mark this one, but let's just state that the rumour would be Everton would be interested in signing Rabiot for £60 million. I'm going to go ahead and put that in complete rubbish. Again, a little bit like the Allan rumour, Adrien Rabiot, a good player, a player with good quality. Would I sign him for £60 million? No, because again, he's at a decent age, but he's not at that, that young age that you'd want from a £60 million signing. Again, there's been supposed talk about attitude issues over the last few months or so, certainly since he's been at Juventus. So that's a worry. And ultimately, Everton won't pay £60 million for a midfielder this summer. We haven't got £60 million to blast in one position. We might have £60 million, but Marcel Brands and Carlo Ancelotti will want £60 million to get us at least two midfielders, or a centre-back and a midfielder, or a right-back and a centre-back. They won't want to spend that much money on one player unless that one player is absolute guaranteed success to this football club. Because again, there's no guarantee that Adrien Rabiot comes into Everton Football Club, hits the ground running straight away, and is an instant success. And if he's not an instant success, we're looking at a player that might spit his dummy in 6 months, one out, and we've just spent £60 million on him, and we're not going to get £60 million back. So I'm going to put the rumour that may suggest that Everton would be interested in spending £60 million on Adrien Rabiot in the complete rubbish category. Do I think that Everton are interested in Rabiot? I do. But I think we're probably looking towards more 20 to 30 million euro maybe for the player, certainly not within the region of €60 million. And I don't want Everton to spend €60 million on Adrien Rabiot. If Carlo Ancelotti sat in front of us today as a fan base and sat in front of me and said, listen Cam, I'm going to spend £60 million on Adrien Rabiot, which means ultimately I'm not going to be able to sign a centre-back, I'm not going to be able to sign a creative midfielder, I'm not going to be able to sign a right-back, and I'm not going to be able to sign a right-winger. I'd say, I'm not happy with that, mate. I'd rather you not spend £60 million on Adrien Rabiot and go and look at those positions that we desperately need to fill. Now, okay, Rabiot is a centre midfielder and we desperately need two centre midfielders, so it wouldn't be the end of the world, but it would mean that we wouldn't be able to sign a right-back, which we also desperately need. We wouldn't be able to sign a centre-back, which we now desperately need. Certainly if Yerry Mina's going to be out injured, there's no guarantee that Yerry Mina will come back 100% fit and be able to play again before next season. So if Yerry Mina's going to be injured, that means we're left with only Michael Keane and Mason Holgate as the two centre-halves. And if one of them gets injured or one of them gets suspended, which is very, very possible, who comes in? A young centre-back who's never played in the Premier League before with no experience. How are they going to cope in playing Premier League football, coming up against some of the best and fastest attackers on the planet? How is that going to work? So for me, £60 million for a centre midfielder, I just don't think is feasible this summer, certainly not with what's going on in the world at the moment. And I think that Everton will more than likely prioritise definitely centre midfield, hopefully, because we need at least two centre midfielders, but also other positions as well. And that might see us spending £100 million this summer, but that will be on 5 players. It won't be on 2 players. And again, I just don't see it being feasible of spending £60 million on Rabiot. Let me know your thoughts on that one in the comment section down below, of course, as well as every other transfer rumour that we've spoken about today. Let me know your thoughts on the rumour stating that Allan's likely destination is Everton. Is the Napoli midfielder going to join the Blues? Is his likely destination Everton Football Club? Are Everton interested in Jose Callejon, or is that just paper talk? And would you take Adrien Rabiot even at €60 million? Anyway, let's get back to the live comments before we finish up. Where are we? James has said... hang on, I've lost my way, yeah. I've lost my way. No, sorry, we read that one. Mitchell has said Allan is class. Fans shouldn't be asked what you pay. All a fan should ask for is, does he make you better? And he won't massively. That's fair enough. And listen, if we were in a different situation in the world right now, I'd agree 100%. And I'd agree 100% if we paid £50 million for Allan and Marcel Brands and Ancelotti went, yeah, don't worry about it, we're still going to sign a creative midfielder, we're still going to sign a right back, and we're still going to sign a centre back, I'd go sound, spend £50 million on Allan then. But if they said, right, we're spending £50 million on Allan, but we can't sign a creative midfielder, we're not going to sign a right back, and we'll struggle to sign a centre half, then for me, we don't only need one player to make the team better this summer, we need a number of positions looking at now. We need a number of positions improving on now. It's not just central defensive midfielder, the whole lot of just a gay left. It's an attacking midfielder. We've got no creativity in that midfield whatsoever. No creativity. It's a right back, which I think is why we'll sign Djibril Sidibe, because it's an easy option. It's a centre back because we've only got 3 centre backs and one of them's currently injured. So that's where I'm sort of coming from with that one. Eugene says Premier League, one more positive coronavirus test. Yeah, it's for Spurs, I believe. William says we're signing Mbappe because his cousin has a patisserie in his wall and he wants to move so he can work on his chocolatery. There you go. And he says put that in maybe. James says Jose is quality. Think he would be on a free from Napoli, but wages would be high. 33, not a player you could build around. Need some young legs and quality for me. Exactly, he's not a player that you'd be able to build a team around. He will probably want a very high wage. And at 33 years old, how many years has Jose Callejon got at the top level? Everton aren't at the top level yet. What you've got to bear in mind, just nearly fell off my chair there, you've just witnessed me nearly go arse over tit. What you've got to bear in mind is Jose Callejon is 33 years old currently. Everton aren't at the top level of football now. Could Jose Callejon come in and sign a 2-year contract for Everton and improve Everton for 2 years, then go and retire and get Everton in a better position? Possibly. Would that be worth £150,000 a week? I don't think so. Everton aren't going to be in that top side category, whether it be top 4 or Champions League challenging team, for another at least 2 years probably. Jose Callejon will then be 35 years old. Is he going to be good enough to play at the highest level? I don't know. Does he have any sell-on value? No. So it just doesn't make sense for me. Wayne says, hit the like, guys. 96p. Thank you very much. Also says, Jess, are you here? Jess says, yes, I'm here. James says, loyal players like Baines and Coleman at Everton to the core. They are spot on. Joel says, let's not talk about pens for that game. Yeah, we can forget about them. Ollie says, I feel like Michael Keane doesn't really believe in himself. And he mightn't, but, and that, you know, again, that we have to, as a fan base, we have to understand that, and we have to believe in Michael Keane. We have to give him the confidence. We have to be sure that we're not on his back constantly when he makes a mistake. We have to be sure that we're supporting him through everything, because I think Michael Keane on his day is a good footballer. I really, really do. Don't get me wrong, when he's not on his day, he can be a liability, but so can 99% of that Everton team, to be perfectly honest with you. When he's on his day, he can put in a solid performance, and he's going to need to be on his day when the Premier League returns. Wayne says, Everton won't pay that much for anyone this, never mind Rabiot, you alright, mate? Well, exactly. Again, I'm not saying we will. I'm just saying that's the transfer rumour, and, you know, that's what's being rumoured, and that's why we talk about them. I'm not saying we'll spend it. I'm just here to report what's being rumoured in the newspapers. James says, think Keane was playing with injuries last year because he is good, just needs to take charge and take more time to organise the back four. I think he could do it. Again, you're very right. You're very much right. And listen, there's no surprise that Michael Keane played through injuries. Certainly in his first year at Everton Football Club, he had to have injections at some point to make sure he could play. So he was playing not only through an injury, but also having injections to make sure he could play. That ultimately damaged his mental health, which he's coming out and spoke about, which we spoke about last week. And maybe now he's at a point where he just lost that confidence because of that past that he's had. But I agree, he can be a really good player on his day, he can. Whether you like it or not, off his day, he can be poor, but on his day, he can be a decent, solid centre-back. Abigail says, Callejon will be a free transfer, but we still don't want him. I can see us doing a Delafour under the summer, 18-month loan with 30 million redemption. We won't buy Rabiot. I reckon Baines or Delph will fill in for Mina in the few weeks. Potentially Delph, good shout to be fair. There's other players that would probably fill in as well. Sidibe's being touted as potentially being able to fill in. But, you know, you're right. I don't think we will sign Callejon, and that's why I put it in complete rubbish, because I just don't think the deal makes sense whatsoever. Eugene says, Everton star Holgate sets restart targets. James says, rather pay that to get Garner back than Rabiot. I would as well. I wouldn't pay 60 million for Garner, but I'd rather put that money towards Garner. And Ollie says, I just don't think we could move forward with our missing positions. But we need to fill those missing positions ultimately, and we need to bring in more quality. I'd say right back, centre back, centre midfield, right wing, just off the top of my mind, are positions that need addressing like as soon as possible and need more quality injected into them as soon as possible. Left wing's also one that I'd probably tout as well. I think the only positions that were probably okay for quality at the moment are left back and centre forwards. And I think goalkeeper's another position that we may need to look to inject quality in. But anyway, there you go. That's going to do it for today's live stream. If you have enjoyed, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second. A big thanks to everybody for getting involved in the live comments. It really, really does mean a massive amount to me. If you're watching on the YouTube video, as a YouTube video afterwards on the replay, please do leave your thoughts in the comment section down below, and we'll try and get involved with as many of them as possible. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. Big thanks for all of the support recently. It means an absolute massive amount to me. Really, really does. Like I said, if you subscribe, massive thank you. If you could share the live stream, if you could share the channel all over social media to try and get as many people in as possible, that would mean a massive amount to me as well. Big thanks to everybody for watching. Please do hit that like button if you have enjoyed. We'll be back 5:15 PM on Friday. We'll be talking more Everton Football Club as we come closer to a Premier League restart. Big thanks for watching. Please leave a like if you've enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues.